On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 417 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains and holy barn burner. The Senators fall 7-5 to the Washington Capitals last night, but it wasn't without a ton of pushback. The Caps were up 4-1 after the first period, so we'll dive in to how they came back and then what let the game slip away. There were dueling hat tricks. TJ Oshie, Drake Batherson with his first career NHL hat trick. We've got an entirety of things to get into for this wild, crazy game. So let's get right to it. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Tuesday, October 26th, and Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators allowed the same amount of goals last night as they had in their three previous games combined, but this one sure was fun to watch.
Man, what a roller coaster ride. I mean, we say it all the time. Maybe the Ottawa Senators aren't the best team to cover, but they certainly are the most interesting because never a dull moment. Like most teams, I think if you're down 4-1 in the first up against the Washington Capitals, you're probably down and out, but not this Ottawa Senators team. They come roaring back. And how about Drake Batherson? Ross, tell me you had your 3-point bet for Drake Batherson last night. Tell me.
No. It's sad days. It's sad days. Honestly, the Rangers game cleared me out pretty well. I was all in on Oktoberfest Timmy. I had him for 2 points, 3 points, 2 goals, everything except for 1 point because the odds weren't good. And sure enough, that's what he gets. Yeah. I get the loss too. I had money line. I had puck line. They're up 2-0 in the third period with 6 minutes left. So I have to take a few days off at Bet Online before regrouping. So
yeah, you got to bet responsibly sometimes.
I know, but it's irresponsible to not go Drake 3-point night, especially when it happens that quickly. It wasn't even in the third period. That was his 4th point of the night when he got his hat trick in the third period. An absolute fantastic game. We'll get into all our Sen Central standouts, but you said usually you're down and out after 4-1, and that was the case with Anton Forsberg. He gets the hook after 4 goals on, pulling it up here, 16 shots against. But would you say this is primarily on him?
I don't know if I would say it's primarily on him. Now, look, the 2 goals that I'm looking at that I probably want Forsberg to have are the Jensen goal. That was just a clear shot from a guy who, no offense to Nick Jensen, but he's not exactly a sniper or anything, and that's one you should have had. And then the Carlson goal, it was a nice move to get around a diving Batherson, but still, that's just a shot from a defenseman that really you should have at least a piece of there. So those 2 goals I wasn't really happy with, and I think the issue too is they had to pull him just to get some sort of momentum change there, right? Like the coach needed to send some sort of message. Sometimes when a goalie gets pulled, it's not necessarily the coach saying, you're awful, we need to get you out of here. It's just saying, we need to shake things up here. Like I need to send a message to my team that what's going on right now is not acceptable and we need to make a major shift here. So I think partly that is also what happened, and it worked. There was some effect to it, I would say.
Absolutely. The Senators start the second period, guns blazing. That was their best period of the night, where they had 16 shots to only Washington's 6 in that middle frame. And obviously they get on the score sheet with 3 separate goals. It's unfortunate that they allowed the Capitals to climb back afterwards. Let's start right at the beginning, though, because I don't know if the Sens thought after Drake Batherson's little wrister, it was actually a missile, though, from the half wall.
That was an insane shot.
It goes in only 2:26 into this game, unassisted. It almost felt like the Sens felt it was going to be an easy game after that because they really took the foot off the gas after.
Yeah, it did seem that way. And anytime you get a goal that happens like that, you're like, all right, here we go. This is working out great for us. And that was like a nothing play too. Like they were just moving the puck along the boards. I think Batherson was more just trying to get the puck on net, and it ends up being an amazing wrist shot to open the scoring there. So yeah, I think definitely that could have been the case. And this Ottawa Senators team is so different in the sense from last year's team, in the sense that they are almost exclusively scoring first. Like, I can't think of many games this season where they don't score the opening goal. So this is a whole different mindset than last season, where they were getting scored on sometimes the first face-off, the first shift it was happening. And now you're playing catch-up, where now when you've got the lead, you need to play a different style of game. You can't just be relaxed. Like you mentioned, it seemed like they kind of eased up. You need to keep the pedal to the metal there. You need to keep going here, especially when you've got a team that has goal scorers with the caliber of Alexander Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer ever. And then you get guys like TJ Oshie also having a great night. So the Sens, they can't be doing that. Like, sure, getting off to a 1-0 start at home is great. You're feeling good, but you got a long game to play. Like, there's so much more they need to do there.
3 straight games where Ottawa has scored the first goal, going back to the San Jose game. And then, of course, the opening game of the season, they scored 3 straight goals. So 4 out of 6 games where they've opened the scoring, and Ottawa has 7 first period goals, which is tied for 4th in the league. Only Anaheim, Edmonton, and Washington, because they scored 4 of them yesterday. They're leading the league now with 9 first period goals. Yeah, it certainly helps boost that stat. But after Drake opens the scoring, it was a Nodak player that we don't like so much. I mean, TJ Oshie, what an absolute talent. But this first one, I mean, we'll get into the play of the def core as a whole, but Josh Brown, like, not to single a guy out, but holy smokes, those 2 goals. Second one, probably less so. It's a little feather pass through, and maybe you could say Josh Brown could have a stronger stick, but this first one was just an absolute pizza.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, the puck was rolling on him. I think what he was trying to do was stick handle around the guy causing pressure to him. And
I never want Josh Brown stick handling out of pressure.
In his own zone, especially.
Off the glass and out. Please.
That's the thing. I think he was trying to do a quick stick handle around the guy and then corral the puck again with his backhand, but it was rolling, so it gets away from him. And then the problem, too, is it gets away from him and he starts scrambling. He's not in a good position to either poke that puck away or block it or anything. The Trevor Van Riemsdyk slides it over to TJ Oshie, and he goes upstairs on Forsberg. That definitely, I will say, like you mentioned, like, that was the worst of the 2 giveaways, because that's a play where don't try to do anything fancy. Like you said, just rim it around the boards and hope for the best there if you're Josh Brown.
And the worst part is, and you understand the human element, that when you give the puck away, you have an immediate need to chase the puck down, because you're like, oh, I got to get that back. But by chasing Van Riemsdyk, he then leaves Oshie wide open behind him. So it was just a comedy of errors that culminated in Washington tying this game only 4 minutes later on the dot, 6:26 into the period, and then they got rolling. It was 4 minutes later, the second goal that we mentioned, more off the rush, where it was a feather pass from Anthony Mantha and TJ Oshie. This one, I thought, maybe not the worst goal that Anton Forsberg's let up, but anytime it goes between your arm and your body, you just wish you could squeeze it a little tighter and avoid that from happening. Then you already touched on Nick Jensen, who made it 3-0 2 minutes after that, and then 2 minutes after that. So 3 goals in a span of 5 minutes, or less than 5 minutes, 4:30. And then that was all she wrote for Anton Forsberg. Now, after that period, what do you think DJ Smith's saying to the guys going into the second period?
I think it's got to be about tightening up defensively, right? Like, and sucks to say this, but the top heavy part of this team played amazing. The top line of Batherson, Norris, and Tkachuk played amazing. The top pair of Shabbat and Zub played amazing. But then you start looking at the rest of the team, and it was just brutal. Like, no defense pairing was able to get anything done. Like, it was all about tightening up defensively and not giving these guys the space to have those shots. Like, Alexander Ovechkin can't have that kind of space. I mean, sure, it was kind of a fluke, his goal, where Zaitsev tries to get a slap shot off, he blocks it, and he goes for a breakaway. Sure, that'll happen. But
maybe that's the guy who you're not trying to take a slap shot past, because there's no support the other way. He had a breakaway from the far blue line. That's not the guy you want having that.
Yeah, as soon as Obi touched that puck past the red line, I already had it chalked up as a goal.
Yeah, I tweeted that out. I said, he doesn't miss those opportunities. We'll get to that because we like doing things chronologically. But dude, Josh Norris, complete stud. This guy, like we talked about it. What really impressed me about him last year, especially, was his face-off ability as a young 20-year-old. Again, 58% every single game. This kid is over 50% in the circle. He plays well above his years, but now we're seeing it more and more. 2 points on the night. This guy offensively he's going to be a 25 goal scorer. I'm sure of it when he hits his prime.
Yeah, and Ross, like sure, 58% is great, but talk about 26 face-offs. Like, that's insane. The next closest guy was Nick Paul with 19, and yeah, to go 58% on 26 face-offs is pretty good. Unfortunately, his best zone was the neutral zone. He went 4 for 5, which kind of is a meh stat going doing so well in the neutral zone. But yeah, you got to give it up for Josh Norris. Like, just amazing play for him to be able to do this at such a young age, to play these minutes, to be their number one center that they rely upon so much, and to be able to not only score but distribute the puck like he does. Like, he's such a dual threat. There's no telling what this guy's going to do, and he's, I would say, almost equally as good at shooting as he is as passing, or vice versa, right? Like, there's no kind of weakness with him offensively.
And I'd just like to combine that. I'm glad you mentioned his time on ice. That was a career high last night. 21 minutes and 56 seconds. Led all Sens forwards in ice time, and he certainly deserved that, especially when you consider how he was integral in getting this game back on track, right? He makes it 4-2 on – how would you describe that goal? Because, you know, it's just a nice little pass from Batherson, and then – tease it up. That's not his usual spot, right? Usually he's a little closer to the blue line and it's on the power play, but what an angle to get that shot off.
Yeah, well, right there, I want to credit Zub on that play, because Zub, he was beaver tailing for that pass.
Career high ice time for Zub as well last night.
I believe that. Yeah, that's for sure. But that was a really heads-up play by Zub. He wants that pass right away, and maybe people are saying, oh man, you can't be beaver tailing for that pass like that, but it's not because he wants to get that shot. That's not what it is. He sees Norris over there, and we all know Norris, when he's on that side with the one-timer, he's got one of the best shots in the team, and it's almost impossible to stop if you're a goalie. If he really gets a good piece of it, Zub gets that puck quickly. Like you said, Batherson makes a good pass to him. He heads right over to Norris. Norris one-times it through Samsonov's legs, and it's a great goal. And that's the kind of, like, those are the plays where you really respect what the top heavy part of this team can do. Like, they knew the best way, the best opportunity to score here is Batherson to Zub, Zub to Norris, Norris one-timer. Like, there was no question in their mind where this play was shifting, where things were going to go here. That was already known as they're skating the puck up the ice. So that's the kind of awareness and, like, chess move, like 2 steps ahead of your opponent, that the rest of this team needs to start figuring out, because they're 1 step behind their opponent, the rest of this team, and that can't happen.
Well said. Artem Zub, 27 minutes and 43 seconds. Big minutes, big play from Zub. We've got plenty more to break down, as we've only gotten to 4-2, and it was a 7-5 game. But first, a word from our friends at Bet Online. Bet Online is the #1 sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, and it's the perfect time to get wagering. Yes, I'm on the shelf just for a week, and then I'll be right back at Bet Online, because how can I stay away when football season's in full swing? Hockey is every night, all day, all night. It's just amazing that we finally have NHL hockey back to a normal schedule where you can actually see different teams, and you don't have to have the same bets on the same odds all the time. It's so fun at betonline.ag, and that's why Pilsy's back with his parlay of the day, and here it is.
Yeah, so guys, similar to the Arizona Coyotes or the Montreal Canadiens, I am still looking for my first win of this season.
Habs got one, so maybe you'll be soon behind.
They got one?
They beat the Red Wings, didn't they?
Oh, damn. Okay. I thought they still didn't have a win. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I know the Coyotes still haven't got a win. So I guess I'm sitting with Arizona down where you were, Ross. And look, I'm just going for an easy bet here. I took some favorites. I really tried to take a look at the matchups here. So here is my parlay of the day. So Tampa Bay just got spanked by the Sabres. But
Wow.
it was Brian Elliott who was in net. So Vasilevsky coming in net for the second night. I'm looking at injuries here. This Pittsburgh team has so many goddamn injuries that if the Tampa Bay Lightning get beat by the what's their AHL team? I always forget
The
it.
Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah,
Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre Penguins. Then they're screwed. So
They may as well be the Leafs.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. So Tampa, they can't let the Sabres and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins beat them in back-to-back games, and they have Vasilevsky starting tonight. So I'm going with Tampa money line at -127. Then similar story. I'm looking at injuries, guys. The Vegas Golden Knights are a shell of a team. No Tuck, no Stone, no Pacioretty, no Martinez, and no Nolan Patrick. So that's a massive part of your lineup missing. Colorado Avalanche, they're firing on all cylinders. So I'm taking the Avalanche money line at -175. Put the Tampa Bay Lightning money line, the Colorado Avalanche money line into a parlay. $10 is going to win you 18 small winnings. I know, but I got to take whatever I can get here. So that is Pillsy's playoff parlay of the day. Not playoff parlay of the day, just regular season. I don't even have one win yet, and I'm already thinking about playoffs. Playoffs!
You just want to win a game, and you can win a 50% welcome bonus just by using the promo code Locked On. So don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get into the action and use promo code Locked On for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. We also have a word from our friends at DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before so that you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by packages. All right, Pillsy. So it's 4-2 in our breakdown of this wacky, wild 7-5 loss. Of course, you can follow us along on Twitter at SenCentral or on Instagram, lockedon.senators for up-to-the-minute stats, news, analysis. And speaking of that analysis, when it was 4-2, did you have faith in the boys? Because I tweeted out from SenCentral, I said, are the Sens back in session? Yes, they certainly were for a little while.
It was feeling good. Like I was at that point, I was looking at live betting the Sens. I didn't quite do it yet. I was on betonline.ag and I was looking, all right, they're picking up some momentum here, but I wasn't quite there. 2 goals down to the Washington Capitals, I thought was still a tough task to come back from. So I was waiting for a little bit more of a push, and they got that push not too far after.
They got that push on the power play this time, and it was about a minute and a half, just shy of a minute and a half into that power play, and it was Thomas Chabot, who I thought was fantastic all night. Great puck movement with Tyler Ennis, and they find the power play specialist, Chris Tierney. Again, backdoor, right off him, but right place at the right time.
Yeah, and I mean, we got to keep giving it up for Chris Tierney. Like, imagine he's the guy that goes to Seattle, what this center depth would look like right now. Like, oh my God, is it a blessing that the Senators were able to hold on to Chris Tierney, and he's doing great. And he seems like he's like he really seems like he's clicking with this team now. Like, sure, the pace isn't always there, but he seems like he's found what he needs to do now that he's getting some power play time. That I talked about it. That trio of Ennis, Brown, and Tierney on that second power play unit has been really good lately. And that was
what's Sanford doing on this still?
That's why I omitted him from that.
It makes no sense.
From that group of doing really well. Yeah, I don't agree with him being there either, but those 3 guys are getting it done. And that was a tough play for Tierney to do. Yeah. Like he had, like, the puck was kind of like behind him and he had to like sling it over to the far side. So shout out Chris Tierney. Like, he's looking really good. And the boys were fired up after that one. That, Ross, is when I got in on the action and live bet the Sens. And It was a roller coaster ride after that.
Certainly was. And for people looking as they did at the start of last year. Chris Tierney's shooting percentage, he's now shooting 66.7%, 4 goals on 6 shots for Chris Tierney, including 3 goals on the power play. So that made it 4-3. And Pilsy, this was the highlight of the night as far as I'm concerned. Drake Batherson's second goal, third point of the game was absolutely unbelievable. The patience, the perseverance, and then getting it up over Samsonov's pad.
Yeah, and this is what it is. It's that chess move, right? Like any other player could have been like, "Oh crap, I'm all alone in front of the net. Let's get this shot off right away before a defenseman comes, before it gets poke check." Not Drake Batherson. He knows that Samsonov is desperate and he's going to be getting over there quick. So hesitate. Let him take the bait. Let him make it. Like as a player, when you're one-on-one with the goalie, all you need to do is have the goalie bite first. If the goalie bites first, you are now in control of the situation, and it's up to you to decide how this goes. So the goalie bites. Batherson knows he's out of position. He's not in a good spot. So he hesitates, pulls back, waits, is almost out of real estate, almost no net left, and then fires it in. Amazing goal.
Yeah, what I loved about it too, it's almost like he knew Samsonov, and give the goalie credit, most guys just shoot that right away. So he was trying to challenge as much as he could straight out. So because his route took him from the far post to the top of the crease, all of a sudden now he's out of position if the puck goes to the far end. And that's exactly where Batherson took it. Really an unbelievable goal when you think about it. And good job by Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris below the goal line to free that puck up. Yeah. And it just got to the right place at the right time. Like Norris chips it behind, and then John Carlson tries to shoot it, goes right off of Brady's skate, right out to Batherson, and he is fired up with his dad in the crowd. The unfortunate part is that it didn't last long. We already talked about this, but what I want to get into on this goal from Alex Ovechkin that turned out to be really, to me, the backbreaker. I mean, Ottawa does score a 5th goal, so it's not the game winner on the score sheet, but it certainly felt like that because Ovi's 6th goal of the season, Pilsy, and it was his first of 2 on the night. So this guy's 7 goals in 6 games. Did I mention he's 35 years old? Certainly didn't look like it on that breakaway attempt, eh? And like he blocks a shot with his stick. So you're like, is his stick broken? And it almost looked like he felt it. He put his hand all the way down the shaft as he was skating through the neutral zone. Do you think that affected his decision to deke instead of shoot?
I mean, now that you're saying that, it does make a lot of sense because if I'm Alexander Ovechkin on a breakaway up against like
ripping it,
a young, like, I don't know, what's Gustafson, like 23, 22-year-old goalie who has a handful of games in the NHL, I'm just ripping that top shelf if I got confidence in my stick. So that is a good point. I thought he was kind of got his hand down to stop a bouncing puck. The puck was bouncing a little, so I thought maybe that was him trying to corral it and control it a little more. But that makes sense. Ovi could have done like choose your own adventure. Alexander Ovechkin on a breakaway. He could have gone 10 different ways and scored 10 different times, right?
Oh my God.
No blaming Gustafson there. And that's the first goal Gustafson allows too. So that's tough on your confidence there. But amazing move. Opens Gus right up. What a goal.
And then the heartbreaker. Down 1, 10 seconds left in the period. Battle behind your goal line. You think all's good. And then TJ Oshie comes out, gets his hat trick on a wraparound. If it wasn't the Ovi goal, this one certainly felt like the backbreaker as well. So I want to get into the third period because this was a show of perseverance from the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, it didn't go their way, but for them to go into the locker room and come out the way they did in the third period, I thought the first 10 minutes of the third period, the ice was tilted in Ottawa's favor. And it all culminated with, you guessed it, Chabot and Norris starting a scoring play. How about that cross-ice pass, Norris to Batherson for his hat trick?
Yeah, I love that pass. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, Norris has one of the best, probably the best one-timer on the team. But reverse that, he can set a guy up for a one-timer or a nice goal just as well as he can finish one himself. Like, that was a hard pass. And I think maybe I'm in the minority here, but I'm often like pissed off about how hard guys are passing on the ice because sometimes guys like just a D-to-D pass are firing it at each other. And then it's a bobbled puck and it's like, okay, buddy, we get it. You're in the NHL. You can pass hard, but what's the point if you're just shattering a guy's stick on a pass where there's no one in between you? There's nothing to do there. So sometimes guys are overdoing it with the hard passes, but that was a time where you needed to put some zip on that puck. Yep. Otherwise, a stick's getting through. Otherwise, the team is realizing it's going cross ice and they're shifting their formation. The goalie's getting over in time. So a nice, crisp, hard pass to Batherson. And then Batherson doesn't take too much time to think. He gets it on net. I think it tips off Dmitry Orlov's stick. And the commentators were saying, oh, we don't know if that's Batherson's goal. Yeah, all you took was 1 second to look at Brady Tkachuk, and you knew that it was Batherson's goal because right away he picks the puck up. And they go to the celly, and Batherson goes, I think he goes, did he tip that? And he's like, no, I didn't get it. So that's when Batherson knew he had the hat trick. And it's too bad it's one of those goals because then you don't get the flurry of hats right away, which is what you want. And wait, while we're talking about hat tricks too, how about that bra on the ice for TJ Oshie's hat trick?
I gotta pull up the photo of that. That's absolutely wild. If you're watching on YouTube, shout out Sens Chirp for clipping that because I tweeted out, I was like, was that a bra on the ice for TJ Oshie? And yeah, it ended up being just that. How about Brady, as I pull that up, knowing right away that it was his first career hat trick and grabbing the puck? That's captain shit. That's captain shit right there.
That's the thing. He knew right away. He knew he didn't touch it. He saw what happened. So that you got to love that. And Drake Batherson, this guy's going to light it up. Like I think in our preview show, I had him getting 28 goals. I think you had him scratching 30.
I said they should put a C on his or an A rather. We're talking captain shit, Brady Tkachuk, but I think that Drake should be an assistant captain on this team. This guy just brings it game in, game out, and people are arguing, and I can't really see a counter argument to it that he might be the best player on this forward group right now. Like there's guys with more potential, Timmy, and you could argue maybe Josh Norris, but right now, he might have the most talent. This guy is just bringing it game in, game out.
Yeah, and you could definitely make the argument. Yeah.
And I'm pulling it up right now if you're watching on YouTube. This is too funny. You don't see it every day. So this was after TJ Oshie's goal. Credit to Sportsnet for the clip. And it's not even a clip, just a still photo, but absolutely wild stuff there. However, that would be as close as Ottawa got, 6-5, and then Ovechkin really put the exclamation mark on this game, even strength goal.
And 4 put the exclamation mark on Nick Paul's face into the boards right before scoring that goal. Like the fact that didn't get called is absolute garbage. Like that, like Nick Paul should have been in concussion protocol after that. Honestly, like he got like, and we talked about it. Ovi's a buzzsaw out there when he's that. Like that wasn't just I'll finish my check so the coach sees I finished my check. That was him being like, I might break Nick Paul's face through this pane of glass here.
So afterwards, we'll get into that, our Sen Central standouts, and wrap up last night's 7-5 loss that saw the Senators' record fall to 2-4 on the season. But let's drive over there, and if our car is down, you know that we're going to RockAuto.com to fix everything. RockAuto.com is a family business that serves auto parts to customers online, and they've been doing it for 20 years. Go to rockauto.com right now and shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of different manufacturers. They have everything from engine control modules, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil. You can even get new carpet there. And whether it's for your classic or daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brands, specifications, and prices you prefer. Best of all, the price at rockauto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. The question remains, why spend up to twice as much for the same parts? Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. All we ask is that you put Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That way, they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. All right, Pillsy. Well, it was a case of momentum in this 7-5 loss. The Ottawa Senators falling to the Washington Capitals. The Caps are now 16-1-1 in the last 18 games against Ottawa. The Capitals had 3 goals in 4.5 minutes. The Sens had 3 goals in 5.5 minutes. What do you think when we look back at this game? What's the X factor?
I'll tell you what the X factor is. This is what I was looking at this morning, and it's very interesting. So we talked about it. When you asked what's DJ Smith saying in the intermission, defense has to tighten up. Let's take a look at the defense stats for the Washington Capitals here. Only Schultz was the only defenseman who didn't register a point for Washington last night. And then let's take a look at plus minus, take it for what you want, but look at the plus minus. Even 2-1, even 1-1. Okay, that's the Washington Capitals. Now, let's scroll down to the Ottawa Senators defense here. Only Zub and Shabbat had points, and the other defensemen, Josh Brown, -3, Nick Holden, -3, Nikita Zaitsev, -3, Victor Mete, -2. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? Like, the decor for these two teams are on complete opposite sides of the spectrum here. The decor with Washington is balanced. They have guys that can throw hits, play physical, but on the same side, they have guys that can move the puck, that can transition, that can skate. Whereas you look at the Ottawa Senators defense, and there's, apart from Thomas Chabot and Artem Zub, there's not a lot that these other four guys are getting done, and they're getting shelled by other teams' offenses. Like, so many -3s cannot be happening. Like, when your defense is that much worse than other teams' defenses, you're not going to stand a chance. And I said it a couple podcasts ago that it was downright stupid to be playing Chabot 4-minute shift to end the game. He played a 3-minute shift to end this game. And I'm starting to come around to apologizing for saying that, because if I'm DJ Smith, what the hell else am I going to do? I'm not going to throw Josh Brown and Victor Mete out there in a game that we just stormed back and we're trying to come back and have another goal happen. Like, I'm going to throw Chabot out there because I can't rely on anyone else.
Well, Josh Brown didn't even have a shot attempt while he was on the ice. Like, the entire, in 9.5 minutes when he was on the ice, the Senators didn't even have a single shot attempt on goal. And you double that down. Like, these are the Corsi numbers I'm pulling up on YouTube right now, and make sure you subscribe. Dangerously close to 1,000. But look at the separation. When Thomas Chabot was out there, Ottawa had 34 shot attempts and only 17 against, with Josh Brown 0 shot attempts for. And I looked it up. He didn't have a single defensive zone start in the entire game. 6 of his shifts started on the fly. 10 of them started in neutral zone and 1 in the offensive zone. And guess what? He gave the puck away in the O zone and went down in the back of the net the other way on the second Oshie goal. So it was an absolute tough, porous outing. And that's not to say that Victor Mete is away from this. He looks like a different player than we saw at the end of last year. He looks passive. He looks like he's just scared to make a mistake. And maybe that's something that the coach's philosophy is going, like, don't take chances unless your name is Thomas Chabot. And if that's the case, I hope that changes sooner rather than later, because they can't go on having the discrepancy between the top two, which is unbelievable. And I hope, like, what worries me is that they're going to break it up to balance the other pairs, but they can't, because they're so good. Like, you found a pair that works. And if you are going to break them up, give me Brandstrom and Zub again. Like, what a tease. Because even though the numbers were pretty bad for Nick Holden last night too, when you look at Corsi, at least we know that he has great gap control and he makes smooth, simple plays. It's a lot easier to do when you have a better partner than Nikita Zaitsev, who was absolutely atrocious again last night, really making us look bad with where we put him on our organizational value rankings this offseason. But Pilsy, what a tease that Brandstrom played with him all preseason, and then Brandy just gets cut. So that really pissed me off, honestly. So there's good and there's very good and there's very bad with this Ottawa Senators team right now. And I would argue that's probably a good thing, because it should be blatantly obvious for the coaching staff and the management to fix this. Because I don't want to be Mr. Breaking News here, but a 4th line center that you got for a 7th round pick, that ain't going to change the problems that this team has. It really isn't. Logan Shaw is not the problem on this team. Did you see Scotty Sabrin snapping it around in the 3rd period in the O-zone too? You talk about bullet passes. He had a couple of them, but they went tape to tape. But the problem with this team, to me, and I think it's blatantly obvious, is the bottom 4D need an overhaul big time. I don't think I was the only one who looked up when Nodak's schedule ends after last night's game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame you. And talking about, I want to talk about Mete here too, because if you're Victor Mete, this is a pivotal time in your career. Like, we know DJ Smith is not going to have Brandstrom and Mete in the same lineup if he can help it. Like, he will do everything in his power to not have both. So right now, if you're Victor Mete, you're the small puck moving defenseman that is being given an opportunity here. You got to be looking at Brandstrom struggling in the AHL and being like, okay, this is my shot. Like, I barely got a 1-year deal done. I was picked up on waivers. I'm a young, fast puck moving defenseman. I need to really take advantage of this opportunity that I have here. So Victor Mete he's losing this opportunity to really put his place on this team. And eventually Brandstrom, they're going to have to call Brandstrom up. Eventually they're not going to have a choice here. So Mete's time is running short here. And yeah, I agree. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, we're at a glass half empty mentality here. You're saying bottom 4 of the defense.
I know.
It should be the top 4 up, and then you have a bottom pair, but that's not the way it is with this decor.
Just pulled up their box score. Like, how blatantly obvious.
This is what I'm talking about.
Is the problem. How about Shabby? 2 assists, +3, 5 shots, 5 blocks. Like, when Thomas Chabot leads the decor in blocks, it's probably not a good sign. No. And Josh Brown, like, -3, no blocks, 4 giveaways in 10.5 minutes. Like, wow.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, like, +2 Artem Zub, +3 Thomas Chabot, -2 Victor Mete, -3, -3, -3 Holden, Brown, and Zaitsev. One note before we go, and of course, Senators losing 7-5 to the Washington Capitals. Pillsy, Craig Anderson, win number 294 with the Buffalo Sabres. Need to shout that out on a goalie-friendly show.
Absolutely, yeah. We love to see the success for Craig Anderson. He got a good opportunity in Buffalo. They needed goalies badly.
They beat Tampa.
Yeah, they beat Tampa 5-1 too. Not like they squeezed out a shootout win or something. Like, they pounced on him.
Hey, against the player he was traded to Ottawa for. You said Brian Elliott was in goal.
Oh, yes. Yeah. True. That's good irony there. And the thing with Buffalo, just quickly to talk about Buffalo, I think now they finally, like, Jack Eichel is not a Buffalo Sabre. Now that finally is out of their head, and kind of the guys that were part of that team, like Ristolainen and Reinhart, that were part of those absolute dog trash years, are gone. This is a new era. They feel like they have a clean slate. So I bet that culture is so much better than last year. And I bet, who's their coach, Granato? I think he's really got things figured out for them. So are they going to continue this? Probably not. But I think things are turning around for the Sabres.
Hopefully they come back to earth before they play Ottawa, which isn't until January 18th. So Ottawa not playing them in a while. Unfortunately, not playing the Habs until February either, because that would be a guaranteed win going forward. The Habs are in Seattle tonight. The Leafs, by the way, lost again to the Carolina Hurricanes, and Freddie Anderson, the irony there, also fantastic. So if you're upset about the Sens and Alex Ovechkin scoring 2 goals when he should have been probably kicked out of the game for that board/charge. Call it what you want. That was absolutely disgusting on Nick Paul. Well, you can look around the league and say, okay, at least some of the teams that I hate the most are not having success either. But tomorrow we're going to have a continued breakdown. Today was all on last night's game, but we're going to look a little more big picture. The Belleville Senators are back in action tomorrow, a rare Wednesday game for them. So we'll preview that and a whole lot more. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.